I think one of the hardest things to learn in business, leadership, life is that at the end of the day, most of your problems, they do come back to you. Because whether it be how you wake up in the morning or whether how you walk into the office, how your meetings are ran, how you send your emails, how your team works with you, are people looking to work with you, all of these moments can be really frustrating. And I know in my time, in work, in my life, there are so many moments where it just seems like, you know what? It's everybody else's fault. It's how they do something. It's how they show up. It's how they ask questions. It's how they treat people. Now, there is something to be said for other people. But depending on where you are at in your org structure and depending on how many people below you, there is a good chance that it is you. And it's one of those things that we have a hard time recognizing. It's one of those hard times to see what role we are really playing. And one of my favorite episodes we did a few months ago was, if you're that guy that always says you're fighting fires all day, you should really check and see if you're the arsonist. Because at the end of the day, it generally does come back to us. Now, that's not saying that Harry Truman didn't have it right with the buck stops here. What that essentially means, the buck stops here, and I'm actually having more of an influence on this situation than I'm giving credit for. It's easy to take situations outside of ourselves. It's easier to blame others for a situation. It's easier to outsource accountability to others. But if you are in a leadership position, whether you're at home or at work, understanding and going inside yourself every time something kind of happens incorrectly, that's the place to start. It may not always end where you need to end, but you should always first look inward before you think about going outside yourself. I'll never forget, I was a supervisor of a call center at one time. We had about 4 or 5 guys below me, and I would often jump in thinking I was helping to take phone call. And in reality, they gave me this feedback one day. They're like, you know what, Ben? You think you're helping us by jumping in, but in reality, you're making it worse. That by you jumping in and then you jumping back out, we have to pick up the pieces. We have to try to figure out what you did. May not be always documented right because I might be in a hurry. And it just makes our life harder. We would much rather you plowing the road, making sure that we have the tools we need, the time we need, and the resources we need to do our job. And it also helped me realize that as a manager, supervisor, director, you shouldn't be very customer facing. Now, there are roles that have like a customer lip service where you are the face, you're trying to maybe add some grease to a deal or an opportunity. But in general, you should work inside the company because your employees are the front lines. Your employees are the forward-facing part of the company. And if you take care of them, they take care of the customer. And if you're talking to the customer, something's not working correctly. And it kind of brought me back to this idea that as a manager and a supervisor, I really need to stay vertical, work up and work down, help my guys with what they need, but work up in a way that plows the road, works through issues, and creates and makes a better place for all of us to work as a team. And each time I'm diving into a customer issue, I'm getting stuck, I'm getting over-focused, and I'm losing sight of what could be really an important thing that needs to take care of. So all of that said, that no matter what you're going through today on a Friday, I want you to just think back, pause, and reveal and think, there's probably a good portion of this is on me. Where do I start? Where could I look? And more importantly, I think a really good question is, have I been here before? If this is something that seems like it's on repeat, there's even a higher likelihood that you are the arson. And asking yourself, what is different about the situations, but yet still the same? And kind of like troubleshooting, you're just process of elimination. Removing the variables that are different, finding the variables that are the same, and then realizing which one of those variables is the one that I'm in control. Because at the end of the day, that is the only thing that you have control over. That is all I have for you this week to close out. We'll be back again on Monday for another book recommendation. Other than that, I'm your host, Ben Cloy, bringing you daily fatherhood advice to help you become the dad you want to be tomorrow, today. Have an amazing weekend.